Hey there, Marie Bartholdi, joined by Simon Gertzen, and I am pretty pumped, Simon, because we are about to watch the draft of who is considered by most Magic players to be the greatest of all time, John Finkel. Okay, so let's take a look around the table at where John was sitting, kind of relative to Luis Scott Vargas, who we just saw draft. So here's Luis Scott Vargas, and John Finkel 3 seats over to Luis's left. So Luis is feeding him for packs 1 and 3, and we just got some great information on the other players in this draft from Rich. But let's take a look at what John Finkel opened. Pack 1, pick 1, and I've heard it might be good. We'll take a look. Simon, John Finkel, just as a player, what is he kind of his style in draft? What do you think?
I think his style is very conservative. He doesn't want to take too many risks because he knows he's just so good at Magic.
Well, here we go. It's a big one. Karn, Scion of Urza here. Pack 1, pick 1. He just windmill slams it onto the table. You can't start your draft better than that, can you?
And what a pack. The Eldest Reborn, Slimefoot the Stowaway, Merfolk Trickster, Skittering Surveyor. That's an insane pack to start your Pro Tour off with.
This is just excellent. And he can go any direction he wants from here, right, Simon?
Exactly. Just compare it to Slimefoot, which is a great card, but it's black-green. So the chance that you end up in these colors actually is not that high. Karn will make his deck 100%.
Oh, I'm so excited already after that first pick. All right, let's take a look at what he opens here in pack number 2. Look at the Hall of Famer there, John Finkel. We've got a Fiery Intervention sort of pulled to the front. Cloud Reader Sphinx. I know you like this card a lot, Simon. There's an Elfheim Druid in this pack. What are you thinking?
Yeah, there are 2 removal spells here. Fiery Intervention is better than Ancient Animus, and Elfheim Druid and Cloud Reader Sphinx are 2 really, really good creatures. Elfheim Druid, I think, synergizes really well with Karn, just because you can accelerate it. Cloud Reader Sphinx is the more powerful creature, though. I think Cloud Reader Sphinx is still quite underrated, actually.
All right, so he is actually going to pick Cloud Reader Sphinx here, so a pretty good start so far to the draft for John. Why do you like this card?
Well, you asked me about John's preferences, right? And
right.
He's an old school player. Blue cards are his forte, and
right.
if you give him a 5-mana 3/4 flyer that also makes your late game that much better by scrying for 2, he's in for that.
Pick number 3 here for John Finkel. Fiery Intervention added to the pile pretty quickly there, but we can see that he did, in fact, take it. Let's take a little look through the rest of the pack. There was a Memorial to Glory and Aven Sentry, which are all right, white cards, but Fiery Intervention just a solid removal spell.
I didn't see anything spectacular there.
Sure.
5 mana for a sorcery speed removal spell is a lot, but this is not a super fast format. So we're seeing quite the conservative drafting approach that I was expecting from somebody like John.
We have a dual land left in this pack, a Jousting Lance, which you might be interested in, and a Flame of Keld, which you can do some silly things if you set it up right, but Saproling Migration seems to be the best card here. Aven Sentry maybe vying for it a little bit.
Yeah, but that's not really close, Maria. Aven Sentry is not really in the top white commons, whereas Saproling Migration, by some, Ben Stark, one of them, being called the best green common. So I think it's a pretty clear pick here.
Okay, why do you think that Saproling Migration is so strong?
It goes in any green deck, but it really shines in the Saproling deck and the Kicker decks. And also, if you manage to find a Song of Freyalise, then that's the card you really want to have.
Tolarian Scholar here pulled to the front of this pack just if he wants to kind of keep his blue options open, yet there's a Sarah Disciple also at the front, as well as a Get to Lava Runner, which would be a second red card.
Yeah, but that's a pretty weak pack.
All right, Tolarian Scholar is the pick here for John Finkel.
I mean, he can't complain about the power level, the average power level of his packs, but that one was a bit weaker.
Just a 2/3 vanilla creature. No extra abilities.
2/3s are good in this format to punish those that are still playing 2-mana 2/2s.
Here's a Get to Chronicler. What do you think about this card, Simon?
Oh, the 2-drops with Kicker are amazing. You have the ability to play them on turn 2 or 3 if you need to block, but often enough you can hold them just for the right moment, and once you get to kick them, just like the Skin Witch, it's just absolute value town.
Yeah, Get to Chronicler has been one of my absolute favorites in this draft format. Garna the Blood Flame, do you think he's interested in that here?
Oh, I think yes. That's actually pretty late, so I think we should consider it a signal. And Urza's Tomb is not that great in all decks. In some decks it really shines, but if you don't have it, you're not losing out on that much.
And we just talked about this archetype too. If he chooses to pivot into black-red, he's already got the Chronicler.
If he finds a Skittering Surveyor, he can even splash a blue card or 2. There's nothing wrong with going 3-color in this format.
Rampaging Cyclops, the pickup here for John Finkel. 4-4 for 4. This card is performed better for me than I expected.
Yeah, and you saw him take that, for example, over Soul Salvage, something like that. He wants to have solid cards to finish pack 1 with, so that he knows where he is and he can really assess which, let's say, combo pieces or synergy pieces he still needs when the draft continues.
Here he picked up a Deep Freeze, which is an okay removal spell. In his colors, do you think it works?
Yes, absolutely. I think if you're a really controlling deck and you don't care about giving your opponent a 4 toughness blocker, Deep Freeze can be one of the best removal spells in the format, in fact.
You know, you think about it being particularly useful if you're trying to fly in or something like that, but sometimes you just play it and it's still fine.
Well, if you have a Karn, you have other win conditions. You don't you don't need to attack with your 3-power creatures.
Hey, you've got a Karn. What are you worried about? Last few picks in this pack, there's a Flame of Keld as we round things up.
I really want to see Flame of Keld put to work. It's difficult to make work, though. Late Thorn Elemental.
And the final pick here of pack number 1 added to the pile for John Finkel. Let's take a look. What do you think of what he's put together so far, Simon?
I like basically every pick he's made. Although this looks a bit messy, he is red-blue with a shot at green, with a shot at maybe black with the gold card. But he has a Karn. He has only powerful cards. His curve is shaping up nicely. So I think based on that, he can feel confident that his deck will end up. Well, it's basically impossible to end up in a train wreck with this, which I think is a very important trait to have when drafting.
So moving forward into pack 2, where do you think his priorities lie?
I think red is the card that, the color he's most interested in, because when you look at the power level of the cards, I would say red is a little bit higher than blue, and he also has that Garna. So if he has the choice to solidify into red, let's say with a Shivan Fire,
right,
I would definitely expect that.
And if he goes blue-red, I mean, there's nothing saying he has to go the traditional sort of aggressive Wizards route either.
Oh, basically, it's already decided that he's not. Because now you wouldn't want to take 3-2 Wizards for an aggro deck, because the rest of his deck doesn't really support that. What I really would like him to open is a Skittering Surveyor, because that, I think, could make a 3-color deck work.
I love Skittering Surveyor. Pack 1, pick 1 sometimes for me.
Oh, absolutely. And then if you don't take it, you regret it the rest of the draft.
Yes, you do. How about a Karn, second Karn? What do you think?
It's legendary, so...
I mean, but would you put 2 in your deck?
I would put...
All right, here we go. Pack number 2 for John Finkel. There's a Relic Runner, a Warlord's Fury, an Unwind. There's that Shivan Fire that you mentioned, a Sarah Angel in this pack as well, Merfolk Trickster, and Helm of the Host, along with Raph. Another strong pack here, Simon.
Absolutely, and Raph probably out of contention because of its colors. And Shivan Fire against Helm of the Host, that's a super interesting debate, because Helm of the Host, you have that super powerful effect, but it is clunky. And now you want to play red, so the fact that it's colorless doesn't really matter that much.
All right, Helm of the Host, the pickup here for John Finkel. Why is this card so insanely powerful?
Well, if you manage to equip it, it is expensive, but if you manage to equip it, you're not losing the game, basically. You can put it on a flyer, you can put it on a ground creature, you can put it on something with an enters the battlefield ability. The only thing that makes you lose is if somebody takes control of your Helm of the Host. That's always bad news.
Wow, another good pack here for him. Cloud Reader Sphinx, Fiery Intervention. It would be number 2, and a Blood Tallow Candle. I like that card as well.
Yeah, I'm not such a big fan. I think in this particular case, I think Fiery Intervention is just stronger. To me, the interesting decision is if Cloud Reader Sphinx is higher on his pick order than Fiery Intervention.
All right, sure enough, Cloud Reader Sphinx is the pick here. Why do you think that is?
Well, I talked about this card before. I actually mentioned when we watched Team Limited that I think it's the best common to open for Team Sealed. This is just such a good package for the format. It does everything you want to do. 3-4 are really good stats. Okay, it dies to Shivan Fire kicked, but in the end, if you have 2-3 of those in your deck, 18, 19 mana sources, you're good to go.
All right. Peek through here, Hammered Explorer in blue. There's an Ancient Animist. Oh, Raph number 2 coming around the table. Antiquities War is the saga in this pack. So what do you think he's considering here?
Yeah, I don't think the green cards are an option. I think it's too late for that. And Raph Kapashin is miles above the rest. If you compare that to Hammered Explorer, I think it's pretty obvious where the power level is. Now he would really like some fixing, because he could actually play blue-red splash green, black, and white at that point.
Ooh, spicy.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen, but at least a third color, I think, would be would be what he's looking for.
All right, Sanctum Spirit pulled to the front here. Sergeant at Arms in the back. Not a whole lot.
No, I think it's between Sanctum Spirit and maybe the Memorial to Folly, just on the off chance that you end up in black.
All right, he's going to take the Sanctum Spirit here, it looks like. Yep, adds it to the pile here in pack number 2. Sanctum Spirit, just okay?
It's just okay. You have some games where it seems unbeatable, but when you play it yourself, you notice that discarding historic cards is quite the cost. And putting 10 bad historic cards in your deck is also not a good way to victory.
So John Finkel here going to slam this Divination. Divination in this format turns out, you can kind of judge how a format's going to go by how good Divination is in the set. So how good is it here?
It's really, really good. There are actually a lot of good blue commons that are not quite at the top of the power rankings because they are not removal. But when you look at Cloud Reader Sphinx, Divination, Syncopate, and removal spells, blue has quite a lot to offer.
All right, so still some options left in this pack yet for him. Syncopate here, another Rampaging Cyclops potentially, and a Vidalian Arcanist.
Oh, that would be an interesting pick. It doesn't actually generate mana for too many cards in his deck, but he's more of a tap-out deck. He can't really afford to leave open mana for Syncopate because his other cards are creatures or sorceries. So the more instants you have, the better Syncopate becomes, in fact.
All right, not a lot left here. Keldon Overseer, Shield of the Realm, Sarah Disciple. Just kind of picking up what's left in the pack. He's going to take the Keldon Overseer.
Yeah, might not make his deck, but
Yeah.
it's sometimes a little bit scary to play against. So, and he still has that option to be in red, after all. This is something you will see of, oh wow.
Oh, another
super late
Divination.
Divination.
Yeah, he's just going to slam it here.
So we have 2 Divinations and 2 Cloud Reader Sphinx.
Yes.
That's already a deck, basically. I think people they sat down next to John Finkel and they said, blue cards, I'll pass them. I'll pass this time.
Dangerous, a dangerous thing to do.
Although, to be fair, John is, of course, a very flexible drafter. I would trust him to draft red-white equipment aggro just as well as a blue control deck.
And we do know that LSV ended up in white-blue in this pod.
So we found the blue drafter?
Yes, we did. Okay, we're just going to take some cards that he doesn't want to play against their Arbor Armament. And remember, we're playing in pod here. This isn't a league. So it's stuff you, sometimes if you're playing on Magic Online, you don't have to worry about. Here you do.
I kind of like Unwind. Maybe not for the main deck, but in the sideboard, when you're playing against a lot of non-creature spells that are difficult to handle, sagas, for example. That's really a card I like to have access to.
All right, so Lich's Mastery out of the pool here for John, and Curators, just the last pickup here in pack number 2. Let's take a look through what he's assembled so far. Simon, it seems like he added a lot of what he needed in that pack.
He added a lot of power, yes, but where are his colors going to be? Blue for sure, and if you've been following Twitter, you know that Divination is basically mana fixing. I don't know if you saw that.
Is that so?
Well, it's not quite true, but of course, if you play a lot of mana sources and you have those card draw spells available to you, you can be a bit more greedy. You can maybe splash even though you don't have a Skittering Surveyor available. But do you want to pair blue with red, or are these 2 white cards and maybe what you pick up in pack 3 better than, because let's be honest, I mean, a Gitu Chronicler and a Fire Intervention, that's okay, but it's nothing that makes you super excited for red.
So he's, as you can see, he's kind of separated his playable cards into 2 piles here that he's drafted so far. Taking a look here at the cards that he's essentially cut.
Yeah, green is not happening and black is not happening. It's only about whether white still has a shot, either as a splash or maybe even as a main color.
It's interesting that Arcanist at the top of his other pile, it's a card that I didn't see played a lot early in the format. Now I see it played far more often.
Yes, it's also a wizard. I think that's often underrated. In this particular deck, you're just happy to have a 1/3 on turn 2 because with a lot of power on 4 and 5, John needed some early plays.
Can't wait to put Helm of the Host on that Cloud Reader Sphinx.
Super tiny synergy, by the way, is the Arcanist and Divination. Because often you have 2 lands and a divination in your opening hand, and you're just gambling for that third land. If it doesn't come, you're stuck, and then you're also losing the tempo game, of course. But if you have the Arcanist, you're sure to be able to cast the divination. So actually makes quite a bit of a difference.
And it's a card you have to remember too when you see it on your opponent's side of the battlefield. They can use that for mana. There's another one. Pack number 3, let's take a look. Academy Journey Mage, Fire Fist Adept, excellent in the Wizards deck. Weight of Memory here, and Garna number 2.
That's probably the weakest pack he's opened. And it kind of comes back to what you mentioned about Blue-Red Wizards, because we know he's not really a Wizard deck. And Fire Fist Adept, it's a lot weaker when you don't have that many Wizards.
All right, well, it is going to be what he chooses here. Fire Fist Adept. The pick for Jon Finkel, Academy Journey Mage. By the way, just an excellent card. I love it so much.
Almost all cards that bounce an opposing creature in Limited are really, really good, as a general rule. Or at least much better than people think in the beginning.
Let's take a look here. What John is thinking about Wizard's Lightning. In this pack, another Cloud Reader Sphinx, Coldwater Snapper as well, but yeah, that Wizard's Lightning can't beat that.
No, that's actually perfect for his deck. It gives him another cheap interactive spell. There was also on Sarah's Wings in there.
Oh, was there?
But I think Blue-Red is now where he wants to be. He can't really reasonably expect a Skittering Surveyor at this point. His red cards are good, and he didn't really need a third Cloud Reader Sphinx.
Deck shaping up really nicely so far for Jon Finkel. Syncopate in here. Shivan Fire. Mending of Dominaria, Fire Elemental. Shivan Fire, just wonderful pickup.
Yeah, some picks are just relatively easy, and this is one of them. First, I was looking at that Syncopate because it is another nice way of answering non-creature threats. But when there's a Shivan Fire, you're a blue-red. That's what you take.
Man, I'm loving his deck. This is my favorite archetype.
You can see the face of somebody thrilled to have opened a Karn. John,
yeah, don't you see?
John doesn't give anything away.
Coldwater Snapper, Rampaging Cyclops. There's your Flame of Keld. Oh, Adeliza Cinderwind.
Yeah, that's a super late pickup. Basically confirming that he's the only blue-red drafter.
Right.
Probably no aggressive wizard deck at the table. There was even a haphazard bombardment card I really like in certain decks, but of course here the Blue-Red Legend is the pick. Sometimes easy to forget that it triggers Historic as well, because it's an uncommon, it's 3 mana haste, you don't really think about it, but it is a legend.
What? Fight with Fire left in this pack here.
Rigged, Maria. I'm telling you. This card should
#rig.
not go so late.
I mean, just insane.
If you play against somebody that has Fight with Fire, you go down to 10 or lower.
No, that's it.
It's so scary. Then they kick Grow from the Ashes, and you know you're dead next turn.
Oh, why do we give the greatest player to play the game just an absolutely bonkers deck? There's an Isolated Chapel, but he's just going to be on theme here. I think going to take the Keldon Raider.
Keldon Raider is a great card. I would be very surprised if that doesn't make his main deck. He can use a 4-drop. It draws him into his 5 mana, which he really needs in this deck. But even if he has excess lands, he can reuse them. I think there was a Thallid Omnivore.
That was a Thallid Omnivore. That's pretty late.
I'm quite surprised at how late certain cards are going. That Fight with Fire was extremely late. Thallid Omnivore there.
Thallid Omnivore is a card we've seen just exceed all expectations. Like, we knew it was going to be good, but just proved to be fantastic, especially at the Grand Prix last weekend.
This ability in Limited is just always very powerful for some reason, and it's this threat of activation mostly.
All right, Radiating Lightning here, and a Warcry Phoenix left in the pack, but he's going to take the Lightning. Why is that?
That's maybe a pick that a less experienced player wouldn't have made, because a 2/2 creature, it has haste, it has an extra ability, it's an uncommon, it looks more splashy, it looks better. But what John is doing here smartly is he's preparing to have a sideboard strategy against Zap-rolling decks, whereas Warcry Phoenix would be maybe the 23rd best card in his deck. Radiating Lightning from the sideboard is going to be one of his best decks in those matchups, best cards in this match.
Pick up another Tolarian Scholar there. Fiery Intervention. all the way around the table, Simon.
How many people are red at this table? At most two.
This is...
It's one of the best colors in the format, and he is getting hooked up.
Fire Elemental left in the pack, probably not going to make the cut. Oh, he's going to take Final Parting. Keep that out of the pool. Cyclops came back around as well.
Super late Cyclops, probably not even making his main deck, but it shows you that ultimately white never had a chance because red was so open, especially from the right hand side. John got a super sweet deck to start the Pro Tour off with.
I mean, this has just gone so amazingly for John. Overall, Simon, what do you grade this work of art we've just witnessed?
This looks really, really solid. I could see there being some problematic permanents or creatures with high toughness. I would say something like 8.5 out of 10.
Wow, absolutely unbelievable. Well, thank you so much, Simon Gertzen, John Finkel's draft here at the Pro Tour. Excited to see it in action. More magic. Don't go anywhere.